All right. Hello, 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 everybody. It is July 21st, 2023, 9:21 a.m., and we have got a stock market to open. All right. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Yesterday was one of the most bloodiest days we've had in the stock market in a long time. It's been about a month, I would say, even since May. I mean, we had some pullbacks in June, but May and June were really good months. We saw the market just get to a better level, and that didn't happen this time. I mean, yesterday Tesla and Netflix earnings basically took down the market, and things went down as a result of that. We got some red. Now we want to see, does the trend continue or does it stop? Do we continue to see a sell-off? Do we continue to see the market think, things are still a little too hot? Things are macro-wise, things are going here and there. The Fed, J Powell, what is he going to do next week? We're not really sure. Or do we see the dip gets bought and the market's like, well, actually, things aren't that bad. And, we got a nice little pullback, but now we want to get into some positions. So we're going to see what happens. Mark, Sethi Roth, Stefan, Ibot, Monty, Samuel, Brian Robinson, Katie Baby, The Wiz, Midwest, Gregory, Samuel, Jared, Tess Cap, Julio, Joseph Viegos, Fernando. Thank you all for being here. It's Friday, so we got to bust out the shirt because it's even though the market may be red or maybe green, the shirt always has to be doing what it is. Biden is meeting with tech executives about safe AI and no Palantir. Makes no sense as Palantir is the only one working with the government. To be honest, I'm kind of happy that Palantir is never in these safe AI conversations because that just means the real deal is being kept in private, which that's my way of justifying why it's okay. But hopefully that's the reason that it's that's happening. We got Palantir at $17.45, up 1.87% pre-market. Meta is up in the pre-markets. Truist took a little beating yesterday, now 33.40, up 1% in the pre-market. Same with Nvidia, Google, Apple. Everything is up in the pre-markets. If you can see on the left side of my screen, there's all a little bit of green underneath the red, which shows you what's happening in the pre-market. SoFi up at $9.68 as well in the pre-market. So pre-market's doing okay. I guess we'll see what that means for when the market opens. But so far, not seeing a massive sell-off into the pre-markets. And we'll see where it goes from there. S&P at 454 in the pre-market as well. Amit, are you selling your PayPal for Tesla? If no, why not? Well, no. PayPal is undervalued. PayPal's fair value is $100 right now, and I have options on PayPal, so I can do really well on it if it continues to do well over the next year and a half. So yeah, no, I mean, look, we'll see where Tesla goes, right? Like, I'm not like going crazy to buy Tesla right now. We'll see if it falls. It's at 267. Remember, the indexes are rebalancing today as well, so we might see a bit of a sell-off a little bit later during the day, because the NASDAQ has to rebalance within a couple percentage points. Tesla, Netflix, Google, Nvidia, Microsoft, etc. And so we might see a little bit more of a downside, and then we'll keep going from there. Felicia, hello. Sachin, hello. Jason, thank you for being here. I'm going to discuss PayPal. Yeah, we discussed 2 days ago. Go to it. It's in the timestamps. We've discussed PayPal in depth. We spent a long time of it. We also talked about the Fed Now thing yesterday. It's not going to have that big of an effect on PayPal. I mean, if it does, it's not going to be that serious. So I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, so this Julius Baer's position, guys. So apparently this thing is not real from what I found out. All right. So what the news that broke yesterday on Twitter, and that's why if you're not on Twitter, you should be on Twitter. So make sure you follow me on Twitter in the description. Let me share it right now. Is that there was a fund from Zurich that bought 306 million shares. Thoughts on Rivian? I like Rivian. I don't have any stock, but I do like Rivian. I've seen a bunch of Rivians in New Jersey. And I think it's going to be one of the EVs that does really well. So this company increased their Palantir position by 100,000%, and they bought 15% of the company, 4 billion shares, or $4 billion, 306 million shares. Like this is not true from what we found out. So the guy who posted this did a little bit more due diligence, and look, they bought 13.8% of the total market cap. That's just, it doesn't make any sense. It's likely an error from the SEC filing, because when you did the SEC filing, it says they own $1 trillion of Amazon, or sorry, Microsoft, which doesn't make any sense, right? Like it just, I'm trying to find the correction post. So I got excited about this yesterday because I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, this is a fund that really came in and they have more than BlackRock and Vanguard. Yeah, it doesn't really seem like it's happening. So look, the filing they submitted does show the number of shares, but the value doesn't make any sense. So I think they goofed with what they reported. There is no way they 100x all their holdings when it's too good to be true. It's probably not true. So yeah, they don't have, 3 billion shares of Microsoft. They don't have 6 billion shares of Google, 4 billion shares of Apple. It doesn't make any sense. So most likely this is incorrect. They probably own like 36 million shares, or they might own 306 million shares, but the value is not 4 billion. We still are trying to figure this out. So I think we're going to get some Bloomberg data. I actually have a friend who works there. I'm going to hit him up in a little bit and try to get him to give me some of that data from the terminal. But there are institutions buying. It's just not at that insane level we thought it was. So my view is number invested is typo for number of shares. Yeah, that's what I think as well. But granted, though, we saw a run up from 7 to 14 on Palantir in June, which is when this firm was supposedly buying, but they just closed 45 days after. So it is very likely that an institution loaded up a lot to run it up 100%, but it doesn't mean that they loaded up that much of it. And so that's why it's a little bit different. Miyoko, good morning. Can you make a thumbnail holding your bell? I've done that before, but yeah, I can definitely do it again. A ton of options expire today. Yes, that is another thing to look out for. Today's Friday. In general, we tend to get a sell-off on Friday. Tesla at 267 the pre-markets, and options are expiring today. So there may be a little bit more volatility today than we're expecting in the overall markets. Kind of given how everything is likely to play out. And we're going to kind of see where it goes. SLG's earnings were pretty amazing. They are up 5%. Makes sense why they were up 5%. They dipped. Look at this. SLG had a great earnings. They dipped like 33, 32, and now they're up 5% in the pre-market. Some of these dips are getting bought, right? Now, TSM is not getting bought. Their guidance wasn't that amazing. But some of these dips are going to get bought because we're still in a good market. Robinhood, 1289 pre-market. We're still in a market that wants to do well. We're still in a market that sees inflation coming down. We're still in a market that's recovering from the lows of 2022. And as a result of that, this is why today and Monday, Tuesday, et cetera, are important. Like, do we have a downside trend or an upside trend? Can we, because everyone's okay with one red day. It's the 5 red days that make people want to, do some things to themselves, because that's when it's like, all right, like we're in this again. So is that what we're gonna see, or is it flat, or we're gonna get some more positive momentum? Dip's gonna get bought. We'll see. Remember, FOMC is next week. I fully expect Jay Powell to raise rates. Some people think he's gonna pause. I don't think he's pausing. I think he's raising, and then he's gonna say we're gonna pause for the second one. I don't think he's gonna be that hawkish and say we're hiking for both. And then if that's the case, hopefully the market reacts positively to that, since there might not be a second hike. All right, here we go. It is 9:30 a.m., July 21st, 2023. You are alive on this planet, so you should be grateful to be alive, and I am grateful that you are here with me. The stock market is open. Wake your ass up. Palantir at $17.35. So Palantir is up 1.28%. Not bad for Palantir to be up $17.30. It ended yesterday below 17. Meta at $303. This one is down from $315. Apple at $194. Apple continuing to be $3.5 trillion. They added generative AI applications to the market yesterday, so the market gave it a better valuation. We'll see what Apple can come up with. TFC at $33.34, up 0.85%. Tesla at $267, up 1.67%. Google at $120. They have earnings not next week, but I think the week after, but I'll do a quick check on that. But Google is at $120.43. NVIDIA at $455. NVIDIA down from $475, but NVIDIA now at $455, basically flat since yesterday. SoFi, $963. NVIDIA just went red. $963 on SoFi, kind of flat from yesterday, up 0.5% as well. Carvana up 0.62%, maybe the comeback story of a lifetime. SLG, $35.21. United and American Airlines, great earnings. People are traveling. People are in the air. People are going on vacation. It's a great sign that United, American, Alaska, Delta, all of them had great earnings. And it means that the economy is doing better because people are actually spending their money going on airplanes. and going to different places. So, one qualitative sign, even if those stocks aren't doing like crazy, that the economy is doing well. We got Amazon at 130. This one was at 135, or 136 a couple days ago. So this one has come down a little bit. DNA Ginkgo Bioworks at $2.03. Microsoft at 348, coming down from 361. AT&T and Verizon still in their slumps for the lead cable thing going on with the EPA and regulations of that short. So still down about 4 or 5% for the week. Enphase at 177. Next week is going to be very important because Enphase reports earnings, and 2 days before Enphase earnings is the FOMC meeting. So if the FOMC is hawkish and Enphase is, they get one little detail wrong in their earnings, Enphase likely will tank. Now, if guidance for Q3 is amazing, Enphase can do well. I think all of us are ready to buy Enphase at 130, 140, 150 if it can get back there. So we'll see. If it gets there, I will absolutely start a position as well, but we'll see. It might just run away from us. NASDAQ, 14,141. PayPal, $73. Coinbase, 103. This is up from $100 yesterday. QQQ, 378. QQQ is 378. QQQ is up 20% for the year. Triple QQQ, which is the leveraged ETF, which is a lot more risky, with TQQQ, is up like 40% for the year. So TQQQ now at $43.77. Zoom at $70. Roblox at $41.68. Roblox had an outage 2 days ago, and there were 26,000 people on a YouTube live stream talking about how Roblox had an outage. These were all kids. So Roblox is one of those things for kids that they love this thing. It's like for us, imagine the stock market had like a blackout or something, and all of us, like every stock was halted. That would be all of us, which is like the Roblox being for all those kids. So Roblox is a very big deal to them, but haven't done deep into the numbers yet to figure out. Palantir now at $17.34. All right, not a bad market open. Not a bad market open at all. What app or software are you using? It's called Webull, and it's free. And I've never even made an affiliate link for it, which I probably should do because you're like the 50th person to ask me about Webull. But yeah, it's Webull. I did sign up for this software the other day. This is actually a friend's software. He's building it right now, and I think it's a really good piece of software. I'm not sponsored and anything like that, but they do have an earnings calendar in here. So let me check out this. Okay, so we're looking for next week starts off with what? 2020 this week, 24. Okay, so next week, what's the big one we have? 24, nothing's that interesting. 25, nothing's that interesting. 26, we got Chipotle. Okay, we got Chipotle on the 26th. That's interesting. What's on the 27th? 27th, McDonald's. Wow, next week's boring. I mean, the Intel, yeah, the week after that. So August. Oh, wow, we don't have big tech earnings for a while. So obviously we got SoFi on the 31st. We got PayPal on the 2nd. That's a big one. Apple on the 3rd. Usually Apple reports to the Amazon. Wow. And Alibaba on the 3rd. And Coinbase. That's actually in DraftKings. Okay, so the big ones are likely not going to be until the second week of August. So we still have like about 3 more weeks to go for them. Yeah, so next week is going to be just Chipotle and Intel, I guess, and Texas Instruments, if you want to count that. So we'll see. I made great video title last night. Screw those who are offended, bro. The video title last night was phenomenal. I don't care what you guys say. It was a great video title, and I actually think it was celebrating womanness versus degrading it. So, just saying, I got that title in the shower, bro. I was taking a shower before the show, and I was like, what should we title it? And I was like, I want it to be interesting. It was a red day. You don't want to just be like, oh, stocks are red. And I was like, I think I have the title. I think I got it. And so let's see. All right, let's take a look at some mainstream media. This is called "The Rolling Recession Has Taken Out the Risk of a Hard Landing," which is what we're all looking for, that we don't have a hard landing. Tess, I see you laughing there.
For more on the markets and the earnings of so far, let's bring in Keith Banks, Vice Chair and Chief Investment Officer of the Pension and
This dude's name is Keith Banks. Interesting.
Benefits Plan at Bank of America. It's good to have you on, Keith, to get a sort of a broad perspective. And I'm not going to have to like shame you into your calls. You haven't been on in a while. And you probably, in charge of pension plans, you need like you need to stick to some pretty rules in terms of asset allocation. You're going to need fixed income. You're going to need a stable part of a portfolio for pensions, but you're going to need to be invested in stocks as well.
Correct.
So I'll bet I can't ask you at the beginning of the year what you felt about the markets, can I? You were probably fully invested, depending on where your assets are allocated.
Correct. I mean, look, at the beginning of the year, we were certainly not as bullish as the market has played out to be this year, Joe. But to your point, our recommendation early on was to be fully invested in equities, fully invested in fixed income, depending on your risk profile, if alternatives made sense. And we've really maintained that posture throughout the year. And having that balanced approach helped us, because obviously having exposure to both value and growth, when growth really took off, especially technology, being there and being exposed to that was a good thing, clearly.
See, that's a guy who's smart. They weren't all in growth. They weren't all in value like a lot of these fund managers. They were diversified. So if the market went to value, which in 2022 it basically did, they got exposure. If it went to growth, they got exposure. I like Keith Banks. Keith Banks is a smart guy. Makes sense.
We wanted more breadth, obviously, after the Magnificent Seven. Now we've got the Dow. I don't think of as the Russell or as broadening out, but 9 days in a row is pretty significant in terms of our expectations for a recession. Is it not?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, look, the Magnificent Seven, as they now call it, drove 73% of the first half returns, which is crazy. The stock on average, each of those seven was up 90%. Obviously, that's not sustainable from a driving the overall market standpoint. So we do need to see the breadth broaden.
Does the Dow count if it widens to the Dow? Is that breadth widening?
It helps. It helps.
We need the S&P and Russell.
We need the S&P and Russell.
The S&P's no slouch.
No, S&P is up 19% right now. But again, if you look at the equal weighted versus the cap weighted, there's a big difference.
Still a big difference. But
Okay, now one thing here, everyone's like, oh, the Magnificent Seven, blah, 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 blah. I heard a stat yesterday, okay? I heard a stat. And the stat was 450 out of the 500 companies in Q1 increased their guidance. So yes, the Magnificent Seven have magnificently increased, the value of the overall market. But still, out of the 500 companies in the S&P, 450 of them, so like almost 60, 70%, have actually increased guidance, which means they're not doing amazing, but they're not doing bad. So I still think it's a healthy market overall, even if, 7 of them have been doing a lot of work.
Point out that the long-awaited recession may be a series of rolling recessions that don't add up to one big back-to-back quarter of negative growth. We may not get that.
That's been the interesting thing. So we've got a $26 trillion economy that is basically made up of different sectors operating at different speeds. So what we saw during the course of the first half was a rolling recession in manufacturing, in energy, and you had in housing clearly as well. So that's kind of playing out while the services economy is booming. So instead of having the balloon pop, there's been a slow letting out of the air. We've got 2% growth in the first quarter. Our economists think we're going to see about 1.5% in the second, but then a continued deceleration through the rest of this year. And they have a very mild recession built into their forecast in quarter one and quarter two, like -1% in quarter one, -0.5% in quarter two, and then you start to come out of it. So we think this rolling recession has really kind of taken out that big bang risk of a hard landing, which a lot of people were worried about at the beginning of this year.
So we would.
Well, now here's the thing, right? So his argument is that what the Magnificent Seven have been able to do in combination with inflation coming down has destroyed, or at least significantly decreased, the possibility of this S&P to 3,200, 3,400 massive bear case that a lot of these people have been talking about. I would tend to agree, except if Q2 earnings shits the bed. And see, I don't think Q2 earnings is going to shit the bed. Tesla and Netflix did not shit the bed, right? Tesla and Netflix did a really good job. The market just ran them up too high going into earnings. That's all. I mean, Tesla is at where it was last week. Yeah, it's down 30 bucks. Like my dad, bro. Yesterday, my dad was like, man, I should have fucking sold my Tesla. And I'm like, Dad, it's like their earnings are fine. But my dad doesn't pay attention to earnings. He doesn't give a fuck. I'm like, Dad, I was giving you these numbers. And he's like, yeah, but it's down 30 bucks. He's like, I should have sold it. I was like, and my dad is like how most people think, right? My dad is like how most fucking institutional investors think. Tesla is fine. Their numbers were absolutely fine. There was nothing. I listened to the whole thing. I was there the whole time. I listened to every last word Elon said. There was nothing that made me feel, oh, this is going to be like, this is something, people should think about in terms of selling. And so, the market sold it off because the market just sold it off. It's not that big of a deal, in my opinion, especially because the numbers were fine. And so that's the question for Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and NVIDIA. Mainly NVIDIA, bro. NVIDIA guided such high revenue in terms of 60% guidance. If they don't come in to that guidance, which I think they will, I think they'll actually beat it, to be honest, because of how much demand they have. The whole market is tanking. NVIDIA will go to 400. Palantir will go to like $4, like probably 4 cents, to be honest. So NVIDIA has a big responsibility. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, were you guys were there in March after hours when NVIDIA went from 300 to like 410. It was the most insane after hours rally I've seen in my lifetime. And I had some friends who were shorting it, and I was like, yeah, I mean, like, it's okay to want to. I'm not even gonna say what I was gonna say. It's like, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars that are just lost in that moment. So as long as they don't crap the bed, I don't think Apple's gonna crap the bed. Meta's definitely not crapping the bed. Meta's gonna do great. Google's gonna be fine. Then, I think it'll be good. It'll be a good market, and at least it'll be a sustained Q2 kind of momentum. So it's not too bad. I just bought more Tesla. Look, it's not, you're buying the dip. Buying the dip. It's not bad. Not bad. Tesla's going to do just great. Just look at all their construction going on, and most of that will be done by year's end. Yeah, and their expansion of gigafactories. I mean, Tesla is like a machine that, again, I agree with Elon, who is saying all these concerns in the short term are so silly compared to what we're doing over the long term. And look, I agree with that. I think he is going to be totally fine, and it's not going to be too bad. Slowly turning red. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of red into the market. Again, a lot of options are expiring. And remember, there's got to be some portfolio rebalancing happen today, which is one of the reasons I think NVIDIA is red. The NASDAQ has to sell off some of these stocks. And so if some of these stocks have to be sold off, then we're going to get some downside momentum. Robinhood is surprisingly doing very well at $12.90. Even yesterday was touching 13, like kind of the whole day. The amount of call and the amount of ratio between call options and put options is very well this year. It's all-time high this year for call options, which is really good for Robinhood, because that means a lot of retail is using, some type of an app, and that app most likely is Robinhood, at least to an extent, which means there's a lot of trading going on. And look, this is just in the S&P to 450. S&P to 450 is trading record high amounts of options trading for retail. Just imagine when we're at 500 on the S&P, when we're like really in a bull market. I mean, like the amount of momentum. Now, to get there, by the way, the way to get there is for Jay Powell to do one hike and then be like, we're going to chill. If he does no hike and chill, then it's going to be really fun. If he does one hike and chill, we're good. The way to not get there is for him to be like, oh yeah, we're definitely thinking of hiking it 2 times. He does that. It's going to be a hard next 6 months to get there. Also, Chris was showing some preliminary data, which I'm going to show right now, on Truflation, of potential reacceleration on inflation. Not at a level that is necessarily concerning, but some of the stuff that's going on with Russia and Ukraine in terms of their wheat exports have been stalled, which means there's less exports in wheat. And as a result of that, there is a little bit more inflation on the food side. So as you can see, food and beverages, back in August 2022, we were at 9.51% inflation, food and non-alcoholic beverages. It has come down significantly, right? Like it's very significant, but it is up a little bit from June, as you see, and that was all of July. So as you can see, at June, it was down 8% year over year, and now it's only down 0.07% year over year, which means it's ticked up a little bit. And see, versus last month, it's up 1.18%. Housing versus last month is down 1%. Transport down 0.4%. Utilities down 0.91%. Health down 0.63%. This is all to last month. Household and daily items down 0.61%. Alcohol down 0.23%. Clothing down 0.41%. Communications down 1%. Education down 0.2%. Recreation down 0.31%. So food and beverages is one of those things that's the one that's kind of ticking up. I don't think they have energy in this one, but energy, if we just look at the price of oil is ticking up as well. And a lot of that has to do with some of the stuff going on with Russia, Ukraine, the Saudis not pumping as much oil as they need to pump. And so as long as we don't see a massive reacceleration of inflation, hopefully, like, we still see a decreasing of inflation, because that's only food and beverages. Everything else is going down, right? So one thing is probably not going to carry everything, hopefully. Then, it still doesn't make sense to raise rates, but I'll be okay if the Fed wants to raise rates at least once, because it's like you got to give their kid some Oreos, but you can't get everything in the grocery store. It's like, all right, just do this and let's move on. Good thing food isn't important. TSM guidance was concerning. I agree. TSM guidance definitely was concerning. I mean, look, they definitely guided for a little bit less on the revenue side and profit side. So, and that says something about demand. I think the reason they did it is because no one's buying iPhones, and their biggest client is the iPhone, is Apple, and no one cares about. Like, are you really gonna upgrade to the iPhone 15? Like, no one's doing that shit, bro. No one has 1,000. If Apple makes it 500, I'd buy it. $1,000? Nah, that's too much. Palantir New Japan contract. Did they get an IR? Did we get an IR today? Did we get an investor relations update as a shareholder in which I need to know something? I don't think we did. Not today. Palantir IR. Let's see. News. Yeah, no, we didn't get any update today. Not today. Do you hold Enovix emits? No, I do not hold Enovix because I honestly just don't have enough money to allocate to all these different plays. I like it. Is it up today? It's been a beast. It doubled over the past. Yeah, it's down 6%. Look, Enovix has made like 8 batteries. They're very overvalued. However, their growth is insane. Not their growth is insane. Their potential growth is insane. And that's why a lot of people are betting on potential on this. I personally just don't have that much money, so I'm not that invested into the story. But I will, if I do some more due diligence, I could. But I believe the story. The story makes sense about battery tech. The company's just in a very small stage at this point. They do have a really big cult retail following. Palantir down 0.9%, under 17. So we're seeing a little bit of downside momentum. Netflix is down. Big tech is up a little bit. Big tech's doing okay. Tesla is up at 264. SoFi and Palantir tanked at the same time. They usually move in tandem with each other, because they're both kind of more speculative retail names. So when one goes up, the other goes up. When one goes down, the other comes down as well. SLG down a little bit from the highs today. All right, we're seeing a little bit of red. We're seeing some red momentum. Now, I did pick up some options yesterday. I bought SoFi, $15 call, Leaps, September 2024. So I had an extra like $700 in my bank account yesterday. So in the Robinhood thing. So I picked up a couple of SoFi contracts. I think I paid $152 for each of them, which is not too bad, or $155, one of those. And so the bet is SoFi is more than 15 by 2024 September, which I think is reasonable. I think it's possible. Yeah, so those were a couple of options that I picked up yesterday. SMCI at 309. This one fell to 299. Now to 309. Shopify at 65. Arc Innovation below 450 now at 47. Palantir at 1691. Chris sold TFC on a red day. He did trim some of his TFC position. That was yesterday morning. Again, look, my options are for January 2025, so I am not selling my TFC. And honestly, you don't need to. I mean, if you were listening to him yesterday on Finance Junkies, if you're holding it for a long-term position, the stock is incredibly undervalued. I mean, like there's no saying about it. The problem is he gets in and out, right? And he does what he has to do. He sees different opportunities. He goes in different places. So for him, he wanted to time it a little bit more. For me, I don't want to time this shit, bro. I wanted a good play and I want to let it ride over the next year and just see what happens. And so I'm not selling any of my TFC, especially because the average I got on my options I got them really low, right? Chris wants to get back in if he can get better prices, but he wants to capture some of those gains. So he didn't sell all of it, but he sold some of it. I am in my position. The bank is, I mean, if you listen to the earnings call, the bank is absolutely undervalued. The only reason the market tanked them 7% yesterday, along with the entire macro falling, is because they're being a little bit more conservative in terms of what they're doing. So for example, they sold off their $5 billion of student loans in their portfolio. Now, you would argue, well, why are you doing that? Well, they want to raise liquidity. And raising liquidity right now is way more important to them than having assets trying to return some type of value, because the market is a bit dicey. And so as a result of that, the only concern that shareholders had yesterday is, why aren't you being more aggressive? We're trying to get some return on capital. And to their argument is like, we are trying to be a little bit more conservative here, given how rates are and given how rates may continue to go up. And we're trying to structurally make sure our business is okay, not just try to perform quarter over quarter, which is fine to me, because I want them by January 2025 to be back at a very basic level. You know, they were trading at $50-$60 for the majority of 5 years. I would like them to be around 45 around that time, which I think is fine. You've got a lot of quarters for them to be able to do what they need to do, and for the market to continue to give them the value they need. But in the short term, for the next 6 months, they're definitely not, as they're being conservative, they're not going to be super aggressive in terms of doing what they need to do. Are you still bullish on PayPal? Yes, I am absolutely still bullish on PayPal. I mean, look, I've got the PayPal options. I'm in it. As long as their earnings go fine, there's likely no reason to sell off PayPal unless their earnings absolutely shit the bed, because from the research and due diligence I've done, is their earnings are now prime to get them to at least 100 over the next year, given how badly they got beaten up. So as long as that goes in place, then PayPal should totally be fine. Okay, let's look at one more thing that I wanted to see, and then we'll keep going. The Oppenheimer thing. Who's watching Oppenheimer today? Oppenheimer and Barbie are coming out. Bro, I thought Barbie, that movie, was a joke. That was not a joke. It was 153. That was the price, SJ, of the SoFi 2024 call, September. That Barbie movie apparently is trying to do $1 billion in the box office. Now, is it going to do $1 billion? I don't know. But Oppenheimer, I don't go to the movies ever. Last time I went to the movies was like on a date in 2017 with a girl. Like, I don't go to the movies. And we sat in the back and we weren't watching the movie, if you know what I'm talking about. So I don't go to the movies. Oppenheimer, I want to go and watch it. That shit looks really cool. I need to watch Oppenheimer. But I'm probably not going to be able to do today. So we will see what happens. Have you seen Jesse Dow's Starbucks put reasoning? Debt is higher than ever. Yes, I saw it. I am not following him into that because I am not trying to hedge my portfolio that aggressively. Wow, Palantir took a dump. Yeah, the whole market took a dump. Tesla down, Palantir down. Also on Starbucks, I just don't know that much about them, to be honest. For him, it's a hedge, It's more of a hedge for him, which I understand, versus a tactical thing. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna hedge your portfolio, that's fine to hedge your portfolio. I don't even have that much money to hedge my portfolio, nor do I know that much about Starbucks to want to specifically buy puts on Starbucks. And again, if Starbucks tanks, he will make very out well with that money. So it's not a bad strategy. It's just a question of if it ends up happening. The China risk he was talking about is real, given how much exposure Starbucks has in China. Meta might fall below 300. Palantir at 1679. Truist at 3316. Yeah, the market is definitely tanking a little bit more. Because the market went up in the morning, it's tanking, and it's not as bad as it was yesterday, but it will soon be a little bit worse than it was yesterday. SoFi now at 943. Nvidia at 451. Amazon just green by a little bit. Yeah, most stocks are red. We've got some red. JP Morgan at 155. Coinbase under 100. Fubo under 3. Fubo. Lucid under 7. Opendoor at $4. It was at $3.95 yesterday. AT&T and Verizon up just a little bit. Microsoft up a little bit. Unity at 44. Yeah, Unity was at 50. Now it's at 44. All right, the red continues. We got a little bit more red. We definitely have a little bit more red. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. What do you do in your free time, Amit? You don't game, you don't go to the movies, don't have a girlfriend. I'm curious. Honestly, I watch documentaries, or I'll have a documentary on in the background. I'm such a nerd, bro. I like watch debates around atheism, or I'll watch debates around capitalism versus communism. I'll just play some intellectual shit in the background, and then I'll try to sound intellectual when I get on the live stream. That's basically my plan. No, that's seriously what I do, bro. Oh, I go for a walk. That's the biggest thing I do. If I have an hour free, I will go for a walk. I was thinking of buying a bike, and I was like, man, I don't feel like buying a bike, but there's a big ass lake near my house, and I just go for a walk. I just be walking, and that's pretty much it. Okay, let's see what else we have here. We're just seeing a lot of red in a lot of different areas. Obviously, the market is pulling back on tech. We're probably seeing that dumping from the re-index bouncing that we said was going to happen. Let's get an update on this. Meta Threads. This thing to me is an absolute flop. Now, it might succeed, but it's still a flop to me. I deleted the app from my phone, got rid of it. Someone said buy a Walmart bike so cheap. Bro, I mentioned that to my mom and she got mad at me. She's like, if you're gonna buy a cheap bike, you're gonna she's like, you're gonna kill yourself, you're gonna fall. I'm like, Mom, it's just a cheap bike. She's like, nope, you can't buy a cheap bike. I was like, all right, Mom, whatever. So Meta's challenge is to keep them from fleeing. Now, I don't know about you, But the reason I have not continued to post on Threads is not because I can't grow on Threads, is because the type of growth they want is inculcated within your social circle. And I don't want, or I don't care about my friends engaging with my posts. Most of my friends are boring. They're not doing anything exciting in life. They fucking went the easy route. They don't want any challenge. They're not ambitious. They think going to happy hour is the fun thing to do. Like, most of them are fucking boring, to be honest. Like, it's sad. And if any of them are watching them, sorry, you're boring. Try taking a risk, but you're not going to take a risk because you're too boring. So as a result of that, they're not exciting to me. And they definitely wouldn't be investing in the stock market because they don't know what it means to like actually think about money in a different way than their job. And so, there's just not an audience there to talk to, really. It's not interesting. So yes, they got 100 million users in the first week with Threads. The problem is a lot of the retention has gone down significantly. I mean, I do have people that I talk to that download Threads and they're like, bro, I have not checked that shit in a week. Because there's no reason to. There's nothing valuable there. If you're not checking Twitter, you're definitely not checking Threads. And the far majority of the world is not checking Twitter. Most people do not care about scrolling through Twitter. We care about it because, we're in the finance world, but most people don't. And so as a result of that, we have Threads, a really good looking new kid in class that everyone still wants to talk to, who then over the next few weeks, they got to work out whether there's anything more to them. They added some features over the past couple of days, but those features have not been so substantial enough to create this, massive network effect for Meta. Now, granted, they haven't started advertising as much as they could. And when they start advertising, they can probably get more people on the app. The question is, why would people stay on the app? And why would people ultimately use it long term, which I think is the big problem for them. So I think Meta will do well on it. I don't know if it's going to be like this big cash cow that people are thinking it's going to be. DWAC is up. This is the Trump SPAC at it's up 70%, bro. This is like insane. This is insane. It's halted. Trump is halted. That's crazy, bro. Yeah, DWAC is up. So yesterday, Trump got into a deal to like not get sued or something over this company, which is why it's up as much as it's up right now. I'm about to pull up the actual article. But DWAC was up like 100% in 2021 when it debuted, or sorry, like early 2022. So whoever's in the Trump SPAC, you did well. DWAC stock. Let's see what the news was. The news was, it's halted right now. Trump media merger partner DWAC settles with SEC over fraud charges. Okay, so they're not a fraud, so they're up 60%. That's, the market is crazy, bro. The market is so wild. They're like, all right, so you have nothing in your business that's valuable, but you're not a fraud. So we're going to increase the value of your company by 60%. Got it. Makes sense. All right, that's what we got. Pounds are now at $16.68, down 2.6% for the day, 16.69 as well. Tesla 261. That means short QQQ must be up, right? No, even that's down a little bit. It might be up if we continue to get a little bit more red. Truist at 13.30. Palantir at 16.70. All right. That's it. Do you watch the late great Christopher Hitchens? Yeah, I've seen him talk a bunch of times. And I've seen gradually loading up PayPal leaps for January 2025. I think the strike for those are like 125-ish. I wouldn't go too beyond that strike. I mean, you can get a cheaper price for the option, like 140, 150, but I think 125 is a little bit more reasonable on those, even if you have to pay a little bit more premium. If you're doing out of the money. If not, then you're not. I saw a post on Reddit of a guy who pissed his wife wouldn't let them invest their entire life savings in deer. Bro, I saw a Reddit post, okay? Here's the last thing I'll say, then I'll be out for today. I have to actually go to the doctor, the dentist, and get a crown on my teeth because apparently I'm the new king of England. And so I was appointed a crown for my teeth. I told them I didn't want the responsibilities, but they were like, no, you got to do it. You got to be the king. You're too funny. People laugh too much. I'm like, all right, bro. I got to do what I got to do. Okay, so there was a dude on Reddit. He took $39,000. December 2022, he bought Meta calls for $200 for like, I don't know, September 2024. So in a year, he thought Meta would basically go up 140% or whatever. Meta's at $300. That $39,000 is now $2.6 million. And so that's kind of crazy, bro. Like 39. It's actually not like to assume Meta would be back to 200 a year from now. It actually wasn't crazy. Like at the time, it probably felt crazy. But like, and I know I'm speaking in hindsight, but it was Facebook. The reason I didn't buy it is because I got clouded by thinking it's the next AOL. It was stupid. Like if you actually saw the numbers, Facebook was going to do just fine. But it was a big bet. And so 39 in those options ended up being 2.6 million. And so here's the question. Here's the question. I'll leave the chat. By the way, thank you, Peyton House. That crown joke is the first time you've ever made me chuckle. I appreciate you finally laughed on the live stream. Goodness gracious. You need some humor. You need to let yourself loosen up. You should be laughing at my Apu jokes yesterday. The Apu joke was great. If you didn't get the Apu joke, I need to play it again because I clipped it on Twitter. But here's the question. And then we'll play the Apu joke one more time and then I'll be out because I got to go to the dentist and get my crown. What would you do with 2.6 million? If you got 2.6 million and you had 2.6 million to play in the market, let's say you had to do one or two plays. You can't diversify it. What would you do with those one or two plays? While you're typing your answers in the chat, let's revisit my joke from yesterday with the problem with Netflix. So if you don't know the problem with Netflix, this is the problem with Netflix. That's a good point. These are some of the problems with these companies like Spotify and Netflix. They're going to show massive. I didn't even think of this. I didn't even think like you can get 5.9 million subs, but if you get it in India where someone's paying $1 a month, literally, I mean, I have, cousins in India that pay $1, $2 a month for Netflix. Yeah, that's not going to help the revenue. So all these subs are coming from countries that have low ARPU because there's a bunch of APUs in those countries. And as a result of that, you're not making any money. I can make that joke. I'm Indian. So that's a good. I'm telling you, bro, like there's going to be a world where you see me in stand-up comedy. Like it's going to happen. I'm just testing it on this YouTube stuff. Like you guys are my like testing ground before I perform at big stages. So it's just, I really appreciate it as well. All right. Buy real estate. I'm not that greedy. I'll retire. Going to Tesla, rewind the app joke, but with Chris's face afterwards. And phase Tesla, SoFi, Palantir, Shopify, 1 million into Microsoft, buy Bangladesh. I don't know if you could buy Bangladesh for 2.6 million. I think it's a little bit more than that. Tesla and Intel, Apple, S&P, Bitcoin half, rest on Tesla, Palantir, Meta, ABCL, Palantir. Interesting. Honestly, I thought most people would just take it and put it into the index. But if we're being fun, look, if I had 2.6 million, I would do 3 plays. I would put 33% into Palantir. I'd put 33% into SoFi. And then I'll put 33% into Ginkgo Bioworks. And that would be my Hail Mary. That would be my Hail Mary would be Ginkgo. And my for sure would be SoFi and Palantir. And we would see what happens. Now, if I actually had 2.6 million, I would be way more conservative than that. I'm just saying this because it's fun money. If I actually had 2.6 million, it would definitely be real estate, definitely paying off my parents' house, definitely putting it in some, treasuries, definitely like really being safe with it. And probably I would play with like 500,000 out of the 2.6 million. And even that 500,000 would be a little bit more safer. So, yeah. All right. That's it for me. Thank you all for being here. This was super fun. This entire week, I think we hit over 500 every single day on the live stream. Again, I cannot say how grateful I am every single day that you guys are here. This is one of the most fun things to do every single morning, to be able to just get on here, talk, give my thoughts out to the world, and hopefully people find some value in it and keep going from there. It's been super fun. It's been super exciting. Thank you all for tuning into Finance Junkies as well. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Hope you guys watch some movies. I'm going to see if I can try to get to the movies. Probably won't be able to, but if I do, IMAX and Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan. You guys know my top 5 films. It's Dark Knight, Inception, Wolf of Wall Street. Like Christopher Nolan is like, he's the guy. Interstellar. I love those. So Wolf of Wall Street is not Christopher Nolan, but he's like my guy. So I actually do want to support him and not watch it illegally online, even though I was thinking of doing that, but I probably shouldn't do that. And I should get IMAX Oppenheimer. So hope you guys also go check out the movies and have a great weekend as well. Lindsay, thanks for being here. Miyoko, have fun at the dentist. Yeah, I'm getting a crown. I'm the new prince. I'm the prince of Palantir, so we'll see what happens. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. We got SoFi Weekly and Palantir Weekly tonight. I'm out. Bye-bye, everybody.